pressure makes diamonds. And shout out to Shanji Hibero, Sensei Shanji Hibero. He's the first person I ever heard that phrase from. And I've come to also embrace that, and I reflect upon this idea of pressure makes diamonds frequently, sometimes even daily. And it's very much part and parcel with the Jiujitsu, because Jiujitsu is so heavily dependent upon creating pressure and pressurizing the opponent, because through the creation of the pressure, you're trying to get that person flat, pressurize their body so that they have to react, and those reactions leave openings for submissions, for the finishes. And so the pressure makes diamonds is something you will hear across many different schools. This concept is well ingrained. Shanji Hibero has a really unique contribution to that, because he's one of the things he's famous for is what he calls his diamond guard. And having trained under both Shanji and his older brother Salo Hibero, Salo is really famous for his top pressure and just smothering. And Shanji, being the younger brother, growing up in Jiu-Jitsu with his older brother Salo, just beating on him and pressurizing him, Shanji had to develop, for survival, a methodology to be able to create the frames, to be able to defend and create space, and so that diamond guard idea. So Shanji really understands and encapsulates this idea of pressure makes diamond. And when you're getting pressured, well, you're either going to collapse under the pressure, and that happens sometimes, and that is part of the learning process, and you want to learn an environment where there's some code of ethics, right? Where if the person pressurizes me, they're not going to kill me, right? I get a chance to tap, and we can start over, and I'm learning. So this idea of pressure makes diamonds, it's really meaningful in terms of how we can approach life, and how we can approach challenges. We can approach the pressures of daily existence. And that pressure can take different forms, just like there's different techniques in the martial arts, right? There's also different techniques or different forms or different looks of how we can experience pressure. Many times the pressure is internal created, where we are applying pressure within ourselves because of some kind of expectation that we may have, or some kind of insecurity that we may have, but also the pressure often is external, either real or perceived. There can be pressure, coming up with money for something. There can be pressure in relationships, having to try to appease or please or accommodate someone that is important to you. There can be, work pressure where you're in a deadline, and maybe you're, behind, or in school where you have some report that is due and you're not sure how you're going to finish in time, right? So these are all potential examples of pressure. However, like in Jiu-Jitsu and in martial arts in general, it's how we deal, how we react to the pressure that ultimately determines the long-term success or the future success. And so generally speaking, we want to stay calm, we want to stay relaxed. And one thing I've learned in this concept of the pressure makes diamonds is that it's not normally giant movements or rapid movements necessarily. It's actually small micro adjustments that will eventually lead to the path into a good position. And so something that I say is that we don't go from bad to good. We go from bad to better, or from bad to less bad, and then, a little better, small movement, another small movement, another small movement. And if you string, several micro adjustments and you make good decisions, ultimately that's going to lead to now you're in a good position. But you didn't go from bad to good. You went from bad to better, and then better, 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 until now it's good. So this idea about pressure makes diamonds. Now, geologically speaking, diamonds are formed from pressure and temperature. And it takes, millions of years typically for the carbon atoms to be compressed until ultimately it can be transformed into the diamond through lots of pressure and lots of heat. And so it's a similar process in our development in the Jiu-Jitsu and in the life, is learning how to accept the stress and the pressure, and staying calm and making small adjustments, and then ultimately finding a much better position.